Support for this podcast comes from Bryn Mawr Communications. BMC produces a number of informative podcast series spanning a variety of topics in ophthalmology. Discover a new show at itube.net/podcasts.
Welcome, everyone, to the Four Eyes podcast brought to you by Young OD Connect. We give you a clear view into the young optometry world across Canada and the US, and we're your hosts. I'm Dr. Amrit Bilku.
And I'm Dr. Deepan Kaur.
And this is our last episode for 2025. Woo!
Yes, we made it. We made it through 2025.
Oh my God, we
clinically,
survived.
physically,
Mentally,
mentally. Thumbs up.
I remember how 2025 started for me. I had that pneumonia virus that went around. Remember how sick everybody got? No, I got pneumonia for like 2 straight weeks, and I was out cold for like Christmas, Boxing Day, New Year's, my birthday. Had to cancel work. All of those like end of year patients who like want to use their insurance, get their glasses, I had to cancel everyone. So it was such a chaotic start to the year that I was really hoping that the rest of the year would like pick up and be more positive. And honestly, it was. It was. And now the end of the year has been pretty positive. So
I think same thing. I think at the beginning of the year for me, I was kind of like, eh. But I'm also not, it snows a lot for us here in Canada. And I have seasonal affective disorder. And January for us is a really tough month to get through because it snows, it's dark the whole time. So every January, every year, I'm always like struggling.
Yeah.
Because it's just always dark and there's no sunlight half the time. And it's snowing. And then you got to figure out how to drive through all this snow. And then it's cold. It's like always minus 20.
Sometimes I get so tempted to move like to like South America or Dubai or something. And I'm like, oh my God, I just want to work.
I yell at my parents and I'm like, couldn't you immigrate to California? Florida.
Yeah.
Or
why do you pick this place?
BC, Vancouver, somewhere near there. Why Calgary?
Why the middle of the prairies, the Rockies?
I'm like, could have started out there, but
I know.
It's
That's
okay.
Okay, no, we're not gonna be negative in this episode. We're negative on almost every episode, but this is again our last episode of 2025. Yes. And we're very thankful for our sponsor for the last 2 years, Young OD Connect. It is a wonderful, wonderful organization. Deepan and I resonated really well with that organization when we joined, because that group just supports new grad ODs, especially who have like a strong interest in more medical optometry. They have a wonderful conference every year. Most of the time it takes place in Nashville for Mod Live. And so we're just so thankful and happy that we've had 2 years with Young OD as our sponsor. And this will be our last episode with them as our sponsor. So yes. Thank you to Young OD Connect. If you guys are not familiar with that organization, we'll have their link in our description. And you guys should definitely consider joining and join their mentorship webinar series. I've hosted one of those and you learn a lot. They're very community-based, very close-knit group of people, small groups, where you get to just learn from seasoned ODs and also other new grad ODs, just learning how to navigate your new career.
It's a really good organization for new grads, especially if you're trying to learn new clinical conditions or getting used to those kind of things when you're new in clinic. But even for seasoned ODs too, and they have a lot of video content, a lot of podcasts, they have just so much content that's pretty diverse. So yeah, they're great. And they've been so awesome to us. Yeah, we're going to miss them so much.
Deepan actually thought of what to do for this episode. So it's going to be very chill. It's not clinical. We're not talking about cases, but I'm sure we will probably talk smack about our work and patients and how burned out we are in life like we always do. But we're going to talk about our top 3 things that we learned in our career and our profession for 2025. And Deepan, since you thought of this, I'm going to let you start off. What is the first lesson that you've learned in 2025 about
Yeah,
your
mine are
career?
all kind of clinically based. So,
Oh,
yeah, in 2025, the amount of young, healthy patients I got that had peripheral retinal hemes, I think I counted at least like
yes.
25 this
Yeah.
year, and no systemic conditions. They're not on any medications. You're ruling out certain conditions like Valsalva retinopathy, which is a condition that occurs when there's a sudden increase in intrathoracic pressure
Mhm.
that can cause small retinal vessels to bleed it very easily. And it can be caused from like, coughing or sneezing
Mhm.
really hard or lifting heavy or strain or exertion.
Yeah.
That was all ruled out. So I really got used to sending these patients to their family doctors and getting blood work done. Most of them didn't even have a family doctor, also, by the
Mm-hmm.
way. So
Yep.
they haven't been checked in like years, like even an annual physical. They're not done in probably like maybe 5, 6, even 10 years.
Wow.
So the other thing I learned about this is when I was like, okay, you guys got to get an annual physical done. I did not realize a lot of family doctors will not do blood work as like a baseline. You have to request for that,
Yeah.
where I thought they just did baseline levels at every physical.
Nope.
So I learned after my four, like I would do follow-ups with these patients after 3 months, and I'd be like, let's see if these retinal hemes have like resolved or if they're becoming worse or whatever. And a lot of these patients would come back and say, "Oh, I got my annual done, but I didn't like the doctor didn't think I needed blood
Mm-hmm.
work, so I didn't do it." And I'm like, "That's the whole point. We need to do
That
the blood
happens
work."
very often to me
Yeah.
too, where I'll send the letter to the family doctor requesting blood work, and then the family doctor will read it and just be like, "Oh, I don't think you need it." And just disregards what the referring
Yeah.
doctor has
Well,
written. And it's like, well, obviously there's a reason why I'm not having fun, spending an extra friggin' 5 minutes of my life
right.
writing this letter to you. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not doing it because it's fun for me.
Yeah.
So if I'm taking the time to request this from you, trust me, I'm not wasting your time.
Well, this was the thing. I would never send a letter. I'd just be like, "Oh,
Yeah.
just find a family doctor first step and
Oh,
then get your annual physical
I
done."
print them the
But
letter if
then
they don't have
then I
one.
started yeah, then I started doing requesting blood work and
Hmm.
um I would specifically, request the basic stuff like a
Yeah.
CBC with differential
Yeah.
and a platelet count, fasting glucose and
Hmm.
HbA1cs to rule out diabetes, a lipid panel to rule out
Yep.
cholesterol issues, and just getting your blood pressure done to make sure there's no blood
Mhm.
pressure issues, right? So again, this is what I would send out. And a lot of the times, I think 30% of them, a lot of them found out they had either high blood pressure or diabetes. And it was kind of like I didn't even realize. And I'm like, yes, your eyes are the
Tell
window to
everything.
your health. And they were just like
Yeah.
shocked. Like some of them were just like, I didn't realize my health was like this or
Yeah.
whatever. Some of them I think just wanted to hold off on seeing their family doctor for a long time because they didn't want to know what was going
Hmm.
on. But yeah, really got used to writing these referral letters with what blood work I specifically wanted
Yeah.
to rule out certain underlying systemic conditions. And you're right, some of these family doctors would never write anything back to me,
Yeah.
or some of them would. And then the ones that didn't, like, I wouldn't even see those patients again for the follow up. So, not
Yeah.
really sure what
What
happened
would
with that.
happen?
But
That's good advice. Like
yeah,
I've seen random peripheral retinal hemes, like one or two, very, very small in super healthy patients in their 20s or 30s, no other
yeah,
complaints. And the few times I've done it, I have always sent out for blood work because again, it's always they say, "Well, I'm healthy, nothing's wrong. I don't need to see my
yeah,
family doctor." And I'm like, "Just go get it checked.
yeah.
Blood work doesn't kill you, go for it." But most of the times I've sent it because the patient is healthy, the
Hmm.
family doctor either refused to do it or just said, "Yeah, you don't need it. This doctor doesn't know what she's talking about."
Yeah.
Or they'll probably do it. But yeah, the family doctors, at least the ones I've encountered in Ontario, do not send reports back. Like they do
Mm,
it and then they don't say anything. So when I see the patient back, did you do the blood work? Yeah, I did. The doctor said everything's fine. Okay, what blood work did you do? Like what? And obviously the patient doesn't know. They just went to the
Yeah,
lab.
yeah.
And so then I never actually know if they
Well,
got
then
everything
sometimes
checked or
I
not,
don't
but at that point it's
I don't
that
know
was
if they
wrong.
have this. I'm sure they have this in Ontario, but
Mm-mm.
in Alberta,
Don't
you
have
can look
access
up
to their
your
labs. Mm-mm. I already knew what you
Oh,
were gonna say. No, we don't have
man, in
access.
Alberta, they have access to their lab. So I'll just be like, you know what? If you
Yeah.
don't know your results, we're gonna go on this website.
Yeah.
You're gonna put all this information. Let's look at the results right
Yeah,
now, like
wouldn't that be
together.
nice?
Yeah.
That's
No, like I was like,
No, we're
I
gonna stay
even tell
positive. I
people, I'm
was gonna
like,
really go down a rabbit hole right now, just talking about how I really don't like optometry in Ontario. But no, I'm gonna be positive to end 2025.
positive to end the year. No, we do like
Positive.
optometry in Ontario. It has a
Uh,
long way to go.
mhm,
We made some progress this year,
mhm.
I
Yes, a
think.
little
I
bit.
don't know. Yeah.
But that's a good one.
Yeah.
Advice, things you've learned, number one.
Yep.
Um, what have I learned? So what's funny is that all the things that I wrote down, none of them are clinical because that's that's so not me.
Don't worry.
Um,
I have all the clinical ones.
Yeah, of course. That's so you and your personality. I feel like for me, a lot of things that I learned in optometry this year and just about our career and how to navigate it is more like confidence related, business related, and just like trusting
Yeah.
in yourself
Yeah.
because that's what I've been
What
going through as
going
like a
through?
business owner and things like that. So one that I definitely learned this year, and we've talked about, and a lot of people talk about with me also, like I mentioned to Deep on Instagram or through text, is it is okay to do things that are not about your career.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's so simple to say, but I really experienced that this year because as you guys know, I'm like really on Instagram and I do a lot of things in optometry on Instagram and I lecture at conferences and I make like downloads and handouts and course blah
Hmm.
blah 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 blah. I do so many side projects for optometry and this year, especially the second half of the year, I slowed down a lot. Like when I
Hmm.
come home now after work or when I'm home before work, I don't post on Instagram that often anymore. I don't post as many cases as I used to. I sit at home and I watch TV or I go out for walks with my husband and I make plans to spend time with my friends and my family more than I ever did in the last 4.5 years. Um, and it's so different now. Like I used to feel so guilty. I used to feel like I'm like itching or like twitching, like I need to do something to like help my business grow. I need to
Yeah.
do something so that I get more patients noticing me on social media so that they can book an appointment with me. And like
Yeah.
I need to grow, I need to grow. And now I'm like, no, I just want to sit.
I'm done growing.
I'm
The
done
growth is
growing
enough.
for right now. Like I'm okay. I can grow another year whenever I have the energy and like the
Yeah.
motivation to do it. And like it's not a bad thing that I don't have the motivation to grow right now. Maybe it looks like that on the outside to you guys, but
Yeah.
even though I'm still doing stuff on social media, trust me, my heart and my brain is not in it as much as it used to be. In a good way, not in a
Yeah.
sad way, but it's like, yeah, I really, after work, I don't care as much about optometry anymore. I'm
Yes.
not
I
trying to
think,
make all my free time about what else can I do to grow my career
yeah.
and my business is not settled. Like still growing and it's
Yeah. Yeah.
not
Yeah.
anywhere where I want it to be,
Yeah.
but I'm
But
okay with that.
it
Like
will get there. I feel like
get
every
there on its own pace, not with
clinic
me.
owner goes
Yeah.
through this. Like they're always like not happy with where they're at and there's so much more to do, but think of all the progress you've already
Yeah.
made. Like that's huge.
Well, even
But
as an
I think
associate, right? Not
yeah.
even a business owner, even as an associate, you sometimes will think, well, to keep my job here or to keep my employer happy or to make more money at this like clinic, like I
Yeah.
need to bring in a specialty. I need to like negotiate and see if
Nah,
I can bring in
man.
these things. I don't know. I'm
No.
I'm not
I
I'm
think
not
I
in that
learned
space anymore. I'm
no.
not in that
No, I
space.
think from when we graduated, I remember when COVID just hit and how every moment of my free time was going to be about optometry and like
Yes.
figuring out every case and
Mm-hmm.
like going on Instagram, learning more on Instagram, getting to know every like optometry influencer on Instagram. It
Yeah.
was just like, I must do this. Like,
Yeah.
this is what makes me happy. No,
Mm-mm.
not
No.
at all. I like my free time now is so the opposite of optometry. I don't do anything optometry related in my free time, except for our podcast,
Yeah.
obviously. But, we'll still love. But like, no, I'm working on something completely different
You're working
than
on rock
optometry.
climbing, aren't you?
Yes, actually, that's my new
Yeah.
like
I
thing right
remember.
now. Climbing, I'm
That
trying to
sounds
get
awful, by
outside.
the
That's one of
way.
my
I'm
goals
I
next
am
year.
not I know I go to the gym, but I'm not a physically active person. I go to the gym to stretch and to
No,
walk on their treadmill.
dude,
Oh
no.
God, sounds like a
I feel
nightmare.
like I'm the most healthiest I've ever been in my entire life, and I'm the oldest I've ever been. And now I'm just focused on health, wellness, like trying to
Yeah.
keep the peace in my life,
Yeah.
trying to be, flexible, mobile still
And
in
that's
life.
by
Like,
ignoring optometry when you've clocked out of work.
yes, but
That
that's just me, right? Like, I feel like some people are, like a clinic owner or a business owner, you guys can handle that. Like with optometry, you're thinking about it
all
way more
day.
than I am.
Hmm.
But for me, it's just that's how I enjoy my spare time. Like I feel like there was something that Dr. Harbir Sayan said in one of his early podcasts where he was like first practicing and he would be done at like, I don't know, 5 p.m.
Yeah.
And then he'd pack up his stuff and he was like, that's it? Oh, that's all I had to do at work. Oh my God, I could do like so much more.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm like so much more not optometry
Yes.
related,
Yeah.
like something, a brand new goal in some other field, like, I don't know, working out,
Yeah.
running, climbing,
Yeah.
being more
And like,
outdoorsy. I don't know.
tell
But
me if
that's
I'm
what I'm
wrong,
thinking
but
about.
again, like you mentioned, when we started this podcast 5 years ago, we were definitely on Instagram a lot in
Yes.
that optometry space, getting to know all the optometry influencers, all the seasoned ODs, like other podcasters, blah, blah, blah. So we've known a lot of great and wonderful ODs who are also
Hmm.
very heavy on their social media presence and lecturing and all these things over the past 5 years. I have also noticed, or maybe it's because the algorithm keeps changing and maybe it's not
I
showing
think
it to me, but I have also noticed that a lot of those same people are also not posting as often and they're not creating new content as often. They're posting like one video a month and here and there, and they're not even lecturing that often at conferences, or at least we're not
yeah.
seeing that behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, okay, so it's not just me. This is a time, I think,
And
post
I think
COVID, 5 years later, where everyone's just kind of like, I need to slow down.
yeah, and I think you have
Yeah.
phases, right? Like
Mm.
it's okay. Like maybe in the next 3 years, you want to do something completely different and
Yeah.
not focus so much on optometry. But then after those 3 years, you're like, actually, I
I
kind
miss
of want
it.
to
Hmm.
do presentations now in conferences. I want to be a
Yeah.
keynotes or like a rep for one of
Hmm.
these brands or
Yeah.
something. I want to do. I think people when
Can
they
always
first
change.
graduate, it's kind of like, oh, I have to get up and running and get myself
Yes.
known, and it's like, nah.
You have time. You have
Like,
time for that.
yeah, it's just, take your time. If you want to do that and that makes you happy and that those kind of activities energize you, then do it. But
Then
if
do
you're
it.
kind of
Hmm.
not energized by it and getting tired and irritated by it, it's time to
Yeah.
switch up
Switch it up.
things. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your number two?
This is also a clinical one. I learned, well, it's actually like I saw quite a few of these this year too. Ocular pyogenic granulomas.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
Ew.
these are, I know. So
Gross.
then these are acquired vascular lesions. I never knew how to really treat them. I would just let the patient, like, okay, maybe come back in like a month. Let's see how
Yeah.
it's doing. These are like, yeah, fast growing acquired vascular lesions. You can get them from trauma to your eye, a recent surgery or something, or even a old chalazion.
Mm-hmm.
But it just grows around like the mucous membranes around your eyes, and some of them are pretty vascularized. So when
Mm-hmm.
you even like press on them, they're like instantly bleeding,
Ew.
and they grow really fast. Like a lot of patients are like, "Oh, I just it was like really small a month ago, and now look, it's like
So different.
obstructing my vision or whatever, or it's like really irritating my eye." So I had a colleague tell me, like, I don't, you might already do this, you might already know this, but they were just like, use Timolol twice a day on that lesion
Oh,
and
I've
it'll
heard of
shrink.
that. I've never done
Yeah,
it, but
for
okay.
4 to 6 weeks. And I did it on these 3 patients and it it went away. Like I would follow up with
Oh.
them in about 6 weeks. It went down and they were like, "Oh my God, it's not like really there anymore."
And then that
So
doctor is looking at you being like, "Yeah, I freaking told you so." Like I'm not an idiot.
I know, but I was just like
This is
thinking, I'm
just to
like,
show you guys that Deep One has trust issues, everyone. That's what it is. If you ever tell Deep
well,
One anything, she will smile at you and then be like, "Yeah,
yeah, well,
effing right."
Timolol, I was like, I don't know. But then if you think about it, it works by causing vasoconstriction
Mm-hmm.
to those vessels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then it inhibits the vessels from growing, and
Yeah.
then it promotes like, I guess, cell death around that area, so it goes
Yeah.
down.
Cool.
Obviously do not use this on anyone who has pre-existing lung conditions, asthma, COPD, heart problems,
Mm-hmm.
etc. We all know the
Yeah.
contraindications of timolol. But yeah, twice a day, 4 to 6 weeks, it works.
Oh my
Because I
God.
remember when I
Cool.
tried it with my first patient, I was just like, all right, we'll try this. And then it's better for people who don't want to go through surgery,
Yeah.
um,
Yes.
who don't want to go through that whole referral process. Yeah, basically surgery and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and they don't want to do steroids either, right? So the
Yeah.
steroids have all these other side effects. But yeah, they worked on the 3 patients I used them on, and I was
Cool.
pretty happy with that. So now this is like, I will help other new grads and be like, oh, I know how to get rid of that pyogenic granuloma. Oh, and then also make sure you distinguish this from, like papillomas or like
Mm-hmm.
hemangiomas
Yeah.
and anything cancer related. So just make sure you're doing your due diligence with that. But yeah.
Support for this podcast comes from Bryn Mawr Communications. BMC produces a number of informative podcast series spanning a variety of topics in ophthalmology. Discover a new show at itube.net/podcasts.
Yay. So that's
I
another
love that.
clinical.
I actually,
Yeah.
it's funny because we did learn that. I feel like optometry school is coming back to me right now about that.
I don't
But I've
remember ever
never,
learning that in optometry
I
school. I
have,
was like, what?
I feel like you in Alberta probably see a lot of just cool medical cases. Everywhere I've practiced in the GTA is very like regular suburb
Well,
people. Like I
that
don't
is my
see a
day
lot of
today, but
crazy
once in a
medical
while I'll
cases like
get
that.
like a really complicated case
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, dang. I'm just like, okay,
Gotta go back to my
where's
notes.
I don't, yep, I got to go through my notes. And yeah, I didn't even know that about the ocular
Yeah.
pyogenic granulomas. I was just like, I think I have to refer you to ophthalmology to get it removed. And
Yeah.
then one of my colleagues was like, no, just do timolol. Have you never
Yeah.
tried timolol? And I'm like, what? No, that's not going to work on this massive like lump on this person's
Yeah.
eye.
And
And it
that's
works.
again, I guess, okay, let me add that as like number two piece of advice. Always try to work in a place where you have associates there, like other
Yeah.
associates working with, like it's just so we've worked in all different types of settings now, obviously 5 years out or 6 years out, oh my God, of like graduating. But as a new grad, yeah, working in those like small mom and pop optical shops or like stores where or clinics where there's just like one exam lane and then you're not really with any other doctors. I mean, it's nice, it's challenging in its own way, but yeah, it's like it's lonely and it's like you don't get that mentorship or just that like camaraderie with someone else in the other room. Just be like, hey, I have something really freaky in my slit lamp. Can you
Yeah.
just come over and take a quick look? Like you learn so much from each other and each other's experiences when you work
Yeah.
in a practice with other people. And then it keeps you less insane.
Yeah.
Like we were talking off camera first, Deepon and I, before recording that, in just a general primary care practice, if it's based heavily on refraction, throughout your
Mhm.
career, 30, 40 years of your career, you can really start to hate your job and, get all, look, we're going down the negative loop again. Like you can get all
Um,
negative, but then if you work with the other associates, it's like you
yeah.
just learn so many different things. You can
Yeah. It's
have,
true. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I don't work with another associate every day, but I need my alone time too. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie. But every once in a while, we'll talk about cases and
Yeah,
they'll
it's
be like,
fun.
"Oh, I saw this. What did you see?" And we'll kind of exchange
Yeah.
information, clinical information, and then kind of go from there. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, it was, I don't know. I was just like, this is so cool. I just was really happy.
Just a little
Like I felt
tip
like I was a new grad again, and I'm like, oh my God. And then, I mean, I didn't show that. I still
Yeah,
wear masks
obviously.
in clinic right now. So
Yeah.
when I saw my patient back and they're like, oh my God, Dr. Cart went away, my face,
You were
like,
so
I was like,
happy.
and they're like, it's like the first time, you know? So
Yeah.
it was good.
Oh,
But
you get a
I
gold
tried to hide
star.
that from the patient. I know what I'm doing. I know what
Yeah.
I'm doing. I know it went away.
Yes.
Thank you.
We always have to pretend like we know what we're doing. Um,
Yep.
that's a good one. So again, I
Yep.
don't have a medical one. I'm so sad now because I feel like most of our listeners will probably like your advice way better. Like they'll
Or
actually
maybe they
learn
already know
something
this.
from
About
it.
most of our listeners are new grads. They're about like, yeah, I already knew this.
Yeah.
Duh.
Hello, KMK.
Yeah.
Um, Man, another one that I learned, or just that what I want to share, and again, people have asked me on Instagram privately about this, but I know a few young new grads, or like not new grads, but young ODs who are really thinking about opening their own practice. And they're so nervous, or they've been thinking about it, and they're like, I don't know. It's a
Yeah.
lot of money. It's scary to work by yourself, but my piece of advice is definitely now being on the other end. Take the leap if you are thinking about opening your own practice because you will thrive for sure, even in a saturated, busy area, because people don't go to eye care providers for the sales and the prices. When they get good service from a good doctor, they will stay with you
Yeah.
until you move away. And
Yeah.
then they will bring their friends and family to you because they love your service. And so you're going to thrive whether you're in a busy suburb, a rural area. You can start very small in a small lease, with like room for one exam lane, a tiny little optical. Start small if you really, are nervous about finances and situations like that. Use business consultants,
Hmm.
to get started. But if you're thinking about it or you're iffy and you're like, I don't know, I don't like the way that my employer does things, but I'm thriving in that clinic and they won't change things to like the way I want, blah, 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 blah. Trust me, you will do so well if you just took autonomy and opened your own practice. And
Yeah.
there's so many resources out there to help you navigate the money. So I highly recommend it, especially for new grads and young ODs, because there are tons of corporations out there that are throwing cash at you and they will squeeze out all your milk like cows. Like I promise you. And I'm going to say that, okay? They will. And you will burn out and you will hate your life no matter how much cash you have in your bank account. So think about it and open your own practice and give your patients like the care that you would give them if you had no one else controlling you with the way that you want to practice.
Yeah, I think people, especially if you've noticed, like if you've been practicing already a year, 2 years, even three, four, whatever, five, and you're kind of like, I don't like anything that's going on at my job in terms of how the owner is running things,
Yeah.
then it's probably something to consider. Maybe you should open up your own clinic because obviously this is not, and you've switched jobs like multiple times too, and
Hmm.
you've tried different clinics.
Yeah.
I remember Dr. Stephen Huang who told me
Oh, yeah.
he switched jobs 7 times every year before
Hmm.
opening up his new clinic. But he didn't realize he was going to open up his new clinic. He was like, after the seventh switch, he was like, I knew
Can't do this.
us being associate was not for me. And then
Yep.
he opened up his very successful clinic.
Yep. Respect
And he's
eye
doing
care
very well.
in
Yes.
Alberta. Yep. It's
And for
wonderful.
people, by the way, that clinic Respect Eye Care, for people who think you cannot charge in Canada a $200 eye exam,
Yes, you
yes, you
can.
can.
Yes,
He
ma'am.
charges 200 $50 for
Yeah.
an eye exam, and he
Yeah.
has outstanding reviews.
Mm-hmm.
He's an amazing doctor. I just think don't limit yourself. Like, okay, if
Yeah.
it's not for you, fine. That's
Fine.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. But if it's something you're really thinking about, and if you're like, no, I can't do this. No, I won't be able to do this.
Mm-hmm.
No,
No,
I
you'll
wouldn't
you'll
limit
figure it
yourself.
out.
You'll
No,
figure it
I
out.
was in the exact same boat. So we've talked about this on our podcast before, but for the first 2.5 years out from residency, I worked up to 4 different jobs at the
Mhm.
same time. I worked
Yeah.
4 jobs 7 days a week,
Yeah.
and obviously they were all associate positions. I never wanted to open my own practice in the beginning. I was like, no way, I don't have money for that. It's so busy, it's so saturated. Like, no,
Yeah.
there's too much competition, all these opticals coming out. And I
Yeah.
was working at an optical where I was charging
Yeah.
$60 for an eye exam because the opticians, guilt trip you. And then they're like, well, the optical down the street is doing 65. So, we should do. Listen, I've been there.
Yeah.
I even was ashamed of myself saying,
Yeah.
yeah, your eye exam is $60. How would you like to pay? Like that,
Yeah.
like it was the worst time in my life.
Yeah.
And now even in Ontario, most eye exams are range probably from like $100 to like 130, 140, maybe 150 in like
Yeah.
the GTA, like, the main suburbs and the busy cities. And finally one day, yeah, I was like, I've worked at 4 different places. I know exactly how each of them run. I know
Mm-hmm.
what I love about each of them, what I don't like about each of them. I know what type of patients love coming back every year to see me and
Yeah.
why they love coming back.
Yeah.
So I know exactly what type of service to give them and how to market that service. So obviously, eventually, then I was like, no, I don't like the way that the staff, manages my schedule. I don't like this. I don't like my this here. And I can't change it because I don't own it.
Yeah.
And that was the time where I was like, okay, I have to open my own practice. Obviously, I did it with a business partner, another OD, which I loved as well because it
Mm-hmm.
took some of that stress off of me doing it by myself. But we have so much autonomy now. We charge right now $168 for an eye exam. So in our area, we are, I think, the highest. And
Nice.
so, yeah. And the best part is that I've talked to other ODs about who are burned out from their, corporate jobs and their, other practices. I said the best part about my day is that based on how I appropriately charge for our service and our products, I can make my day, my day's revenue, my goal for the day, if we see like potentially even just four to
Yeah.
five patients. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Not 15 to 20. So
Yeah.
that's the whole point is you don't even need to have the stress of I need to fill my schedule and I need like 50 patients a day. No, you
Yeah.
don't. If
Yeah.
charge appropriately and take your time with it and yeah, you'll thrive. So that's definitely my top piece of advice for 2025 because
Yeah.
now I'm in it. Maybe it's easier for me to say now, but we've been through the struggles.
Yeah.
Been through the
And
exact same
it'll
struggles.
be a struggle, but
Oh, it still
it's a
is.
good
I cry every
struggle.
day.
It's a good struggle. I feel like if you are okay with the struggles, like you can get through the struggles, then you should consider opening up your own
Hmm.
practice. Okay.
I'm gonna no, I'm
Well, my
kidding.
third one is really easy. It's actually something I had to relearn. It's basically relying more on a stereoscopic view of the optic nerve in the slit
Yes.
lamp with my 90D lens when the patient is dilated to assess an initial diagnosis of glaucoma versus relying on OCT, visual field, and IOPs. Honestly, when
Mhm.
I was practicing from like 2020 to 2022, and you would see your colleagues' charts, previous charts
Yeah.
or whatever, everybody was doing a glaucoma workup on anyone who had a CD ratio of zero point 0.5 and
Or
larger.
bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that CD ratio is zero point 0.5, got to do a glaucoma workup. I
Hmm.
don't do that anymore. I
Yep.
really, really look at the nerve and like especially the superior and inferior parts of the nerve to make sure or to check if there's any actual rim loss, if there's
Hmm.
any nerve fiber loss, if
Yeah.
there's any vessel changes. And now my glaucoma workups have gone down to like almost down by 50%. I used to do them
Yeah.
all the
Wow.
time. I'm like,
Yeah.
everybody has such big nerves. And I think in school we did learn about really focusing on the nerve,
Yeah.
but OCT, visual field, all these other technologies just kind of like confuse you a little bit more. I
Yes.
feel like you're just like, I have to use all of this. I mean, don't get me wrong, like even on a patient who has a normal nerve, if they have a heavy family history of glaucoma where
Yeah. It's good
someone
to do a
is on drops,
baseline.
yeah, and if their IOPs are off the charts high or um there's other factors that kind of come into that, I'll do a baseline, but now when I just see a large nerve, I'm like, okay, let me just take a look at the actual neural retinal rim and see what's actually going on here.
Yeah.
Because OCT and visual field are not going to give you an accurate view of what the diagnosis will be versus you actually looking
Yeah.
at that nerve
Yeah.
and seeing what's going on. Yeah. So,
So that's funny because I do that too. Now, obviously, I don't focus on glaucoma every day. I see kids most of the time, and yeah, it's much rarer to see glaucoma findings in kids.
yeah.
But I remember even like a few years back, we did some glaucoma episodes in
Mhm.
our early years of the podcast, and then also on my Instagram, I shared some case about physiological cupping versus
Yeah.
physiological large nerves versus glaucoma. And I remember those articles. It's like, yeah, if, the size could be large, but if the overall size is large and then the cup to disc ratio is large, but the rim 360 looks like
Yeah.
it's quite even, the
Yeah.
blood vessel, curvature isn't changing, all of that. You're not finding a notch anywhere.
Yeah.
That 3 years ago, I think now slowed down how many OCTs I'm doing for
Mhm.
large nerves. And I've been
Yeah.
doing that actually. So
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. Even for me, I don't often do just a standard OCT and visual field on any
Well,
large nerve that
yeah.
has like a point 0.5 or point 0.6 C to D. Because if that rim looks 360 when I'm seeing them in a dilated slit lamp view, if it looks pretty evenly thick 360, I'm not and the nerves look even in both eyes.
Yeah.
I'm not so quick to just be
Yes.
like, oh my
Then
God,
they're equal in both eyes.
this
Yeah.
is
But
totally glaucoma. Like, no way.
even like follow-ups from other optometrists and
Yeah.
everything, you'll be like, oh, I'm gonna do this glaucoma workup today
Mhm.
from this other OD who scheduled this.
Yeah.
And I'll look at their nerve and I'll be like, well, this is the last glaucoma follow-up you're gonna
But
be doing
you.
today. Yeah. I'm like, oh, but I've been doing this for like 5 years. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, so no more.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've had a lot of like kind of, I'm gonna stop this glaucoma workup on this
Yeah.
patient now. And kind of if I have to discuss this with my colleague, I will. But yeah, it's something I had to relearn for myself because there was so much like, oh, from other charts I would see like, oh,
Hmm.
0.5 nerve, come back in a month for a glaucoma workup, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
hold on a second. What
Like,
what did this
why?
nerve look like?
Yeah.
Where are the fundus photos? Like what's
Yeah.
going on here? Yeah. And most of those follow-ups, I'm kind of like, this is your last follow-up for today.
Hmm.
So we're not going
Yeah.
to be bringing you back again in 6 months. We'll see you next year. All right. Bye. Like,
And then the
yeah.
sad
So
part is that patient probably thinks that you don't know anything. They're
that's,
just like,
you know what though? That is a fear of
yes.
mine because they're
Hmm.
like, well, I've been doing these workups for the
Hmm.
last like 5 years. Now you're just suddenly going to stop. So sometimes I have to kind of explain like the reasoning
Yeah.
behind all of this.
Without putting
Um,
the colleague down or making
Oh yeah,
them
no. I
seem
mean,
incompetent.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. And it's this appointment still is like an hour long, even though you're
Yeah.
just talking to the patient and like, don't worry, you don't have glaucoma. These are the other risk factors of glaucoma. You don't have
Yeah.
any of these. Like, this is just, we don't need to do these constant follow-ups on
Yeah.
you, especially
Well,
since
especially if
nothing
it's
has changed for
if it's
five
all
years.
stable. Yeah. I mean, if
Yeah,
it's
it's
all
all
stable,
stable.
why do an OCT every year? You can then
Yeah.
start slowing it down. Do it every
Yeah.
2, 3, 4 years, whatever. And
Yeah.
yeah.
So I don't, yeah, I like even my staff the other day, I had an actual glaucoma workup that I was bringing a back a patient for. And my staff was even like, dang, Dr. Carr, you haven't done one of these in a long time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah,
I don't
yep,
care.
yeah. Anyways, yeah, it's something I relearned this year.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yep.
Actually, speaking of, this isn't advice, but speaking of that whole situation of when you start to change the way you practice and then patients compare it to how other people
Yeah.
practice and then they think you're the incompetent one.
Yeah.
My God, you know how many times that has happened to me
Oh, me
because
too. Yeah.
I don't refract in the phoropter anymore. Right? Because
Mm.
oh my goodness, do you know how many patients? Well, not so many. I'd say maybe like five in the
Yeah.
last like 2 years. Not too many, but each time these people have come in, I've done their eye exam. They come in 2020 with their, habitual prescription. Even their ret is fine, their auto refraction is fine, everything is fine. They have no complaints. So I'll show them like one option with a loose lens on their, over their habitual glasses. And
Yeah.
I'll be like, oh, is this life changing for you or is this pretty much the same? And
Yeah.
if they go like, it's the same or it's a little bit sharper, I'll be like, you know what? Your vision's great. It's 2020. We've checked your health. Everything's good. You know what? Keep the same prescription. So we'll just give it to you again. And if you want to change your lenses, blah, blah, blah. And then they go home happy. And then my office will get a phone call. This was actually when I was an associate too, because this was
Yeah.
before I owned my own practice. So my clinic that I worked for would get the phone calls. Yeah, I want my money back because Dr. Bilku didn't do the whole 1 or 2 test on me. And so
Yeah.
I don't like she didn't do like a full eye exam.
Mm.
And there were those times where I was like, I am actually doing you a favor and I am actually not wasting your time or my time doing something that is irrelevant to like the status of your vision. And I did a refraction on you.
Yeah.
It was with
But I
loose lens.
think,
Like
you
they don't
know,
understand it. And so then I had to start like explaining it, spending like an extra 10 minutes telling
yep,
people why I'm not doing this 1 or 2 test on you because your vision's great. You don't need it, blah, blah, blah. But this
honestly,
happened and they think I'm the incompetent one. And I'm like, you have no idea that
but
I'm not
no,
doing
I
like,
know. Honestly,
right?
honestly, that's what I'm doing in the Phoropter. I don't play around with the astigmatism as much as I use. I don't flip the.
You're just like
Yeah, I'm
putting on a
literally.
show. You're just pretending.
But this
Yeah.
is, it sounds weird, but I feel like the more you practice, I will get people's autos and their photos, and I
Yeah.
already know before I see
Yeah,
them
of course.
what
Yeah.
I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
So, and it's funny because I understand totally where you're coming from because I'll get patients asking me like, "Oh, I thought this appointment was gonna be, especially like a dilation appointment."
Yes. Yeah.
Um, and we have Optos and OCT at our clinic too.
Mhm.
And they'll be like, "Oh, I thought this was gonna take like an hour." I'm like, "Why would this take an hour? You're
Yeah, because
dilated
the
in like
staff
10
tells them
minutes."
that, right?
Yeah.
Because again,
And
it's
then,
not your practice.
yeah. But
Your
like,
employer has the standard set because mine did too, my
yeah.
previous employer, that you're coming in for a dilated eye exam, you'll be here for an hour. I've also had patients complain here and there that, oh, Dr. Bilku finished with me in about like 30 minutes,
Yeah.
20, 30 minutes.
But
I got like
you have
gypped.
all the imaging, all this
Yes.
technology. Why
Yes.
would it take me an hour
An
to do your
hour.
exam?
Yeah.
Like, look at all this
Yes.
stuff that's helping me do your
And
exam
also
in literally probably 15 minutes. Like
And we've
less than
also
that.
established that your
Yeah.
vision's great. You have no BV issues. You
Yeah.
have no eye strain. You have no complaints coming in.
Yeah.
You're like, yep, nope, nothing. Great. And then you have no health issues. And we've shown you the photos. Like they leave so, and for
Yeah.
me, it was always, they left so happy. And then it's like they just go home and
Yeah.
they get a switch and they go, you know what?
Actually, or someone's like, "Oh,
Actually,
my eye exam at freaking this small optical took me 3 hours. Why did yours take you so like such a
yeah, I'm
short
like,
time?" And it's like because they don't have all the
they don't
equipment.
have the stuff.
They're
Yeah.
probably
They
doing
don't,
their own pre-testing. They don't have the
yes.
same
Yeah.
setup. But
Yeah.
this is what I always tell patients. I'm like, not all clinics
They're not
are
all the
the
same.
same.
Mm-mm,
They're,
mm-mm.
because yeah,
You have
we had
different
another
different care.
patient ask us like, "Why are the prices all different?" And I'm like, "This is a business. They're
Yeah,
all
it's all
different.
different.
It's
Okay,
all
we're not going to be
different."
negative. We're not going to be.
Yeah.
We said we wouldn't be. We said we wouldn't be negative.
Oh yeah, now I'm getting negative. Now
No,
I'm
no,
getting
no,
negative.
no, no,
Okay.
no, no. We
No,
can't be
no, no.
negative. We can't be negative. Can't.
Okay.
Um, you know what? I had a third piece of advice that I learned from like 2025, but
Yeah.
honestly, it's just business related again. I feel like I'm just not gonna
But
do
this is
it.
good.
And it's very negative. Very negative.
No, I
It's
think it's good. I think it's, last bit of a
ugh.
tidbit.
Oh, sorry, I was like about to cry because of all laughing we're doing. Um, my last piece of advice, again, just kind of related, I guess it kind of related to open your own practice, but not really. But even as an associate, or if you do anything where you want to grow your optometric career, if you want to lecture at conferences, like I have really experienced with this podcast as a business, but definitely this year with lecturing at conferences and then opening my practice and, situations changing with my, clinics where like I was an associate. Business is so cutthroat. Like that's what I've learned. And in optometry, we are all, friendly and ha ha ha, we're all close colleagues and we all support each other. Yeah, that is BS for other people in optometry who don't believe in that and do not want to see other ODs thrive or and want to stay, they want to keep optometry within the bubble of what they believe optometry is, and they don't want to grow. So they will definitely do whatever they can to make sure that you do not grow. And you have to make sure that you stand your ground. If you ever are in a situation where you want to lecture something or you want to start an Instagram account and someone says that's stupid, no one's going to follow you for this, or that's a really dumb way to market yourself, or that's not really how you're going to get patients in the door, or that lecture doesn't really sound really interesting and like no one's going to really come to that lecture. If you ever get like negative comments from other ODs about something you want to do in business or outside of your practice in your clinic, do not listen to them and don't let those people push you around, because there are so many ODs out there who are supportive and want to learn from you and want to meet you and want to see the cool stuff that you're doing. So
Yeah.
I would definitely just recommend like ignore the noise. I have learned that this year for sure. We got no time for any other rant because we've
Yes.
reached the end of our episode for the year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to wrap up on that and just, we do have a lot of new grads who listen, and
Yeah.
we try not to be so negative, but obviously we want to be truthful. And that's what Four Eyes has been for the last 5 years. We have never sugarcoated anything. We've always been our honest selves, and we've always shared whatever is on our mind with you guys. And
Yes.
so yeah, it was kind of nice that we ended off the year with top pieces of advice from 2025. They're
Yeah.
really good. The medical ones were actually really good because now I learned.
Yeah.
And like
It's
now
just, this
it
year I
made
was
me
like,
feel
dang.
better about glaucoma because I was like, oh, I'm doing what you're doing. So okay, I'm
Well,
not too far
yeah.
gone on the medical side.
Yeah, I know. Because it's true to what you're saying. You'll have a lot of people in your ear about how you're practicing. Don't
Mhm.
lose your way. You know what you're doing. And
Yeah,
if you're able
exactly.
to back it up, like why you're doing what you're doing, you're all good. Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
thanks for listening to Four Eyes, the podcast series brought to you by Young OD Connect. Be sure to subscribe and follow us on Instagram or YouTube at Four Eyes Optom for more content. And we'll see you some other time, I guess.
Yeah, and happy holidays, everyone. Enjoy the
Yeah.
rest of 2025.
Yeah.
Bye.